Welcome back, my friends, to TFT Hyperroll with RTARK. Yes, we are still doing videos. We've just cut the lives until they fix this bug. I'm told now that it is a bug with the lack of rerolling augments, but they are not going to bring legends in for some reason. So we'll keep going forward with videos to try to show you builds that work, why they work, and then once we have some stability, we'll do a big compilation video to show you everything. Graphic, like, comment, subscribe, you know the drill. Helps the YouTube algorithm, and let's get started. So in this wacky little portal, you get a Crown of Demacia that you can put on one of your champions. It'll enhance their abilities a little bit, but it comes with a giant caveat. If the champion wearing the crown dies, you automatically lose the fight at whatever point you're at. Let's take a look at the first set of augments before we talk more about this crown. Anytime I see Shadow Isle's heart, I like to take it because 6 Shadow Isles is very, very strong. It's a lot harder to build Shadow Isles when you jump around the 4, although I still think Shadow Isle's Invoker does really well. It does obviously have more force when you get to the final part of the reach trait and you're up at 4. Now we'll get into exactly what the crown does in a little bit, but my advice early is ignore it. This player did, I did. Don't bother putting it on anyone. It's more likely to cause problems than it is to actually bring anything up or help you win. Just rely on whatever your early team is to either win or lose on what they are. I was really hoping for a needlessly large rod here because I'm going to want to create a rage blade for Kalista, but it's not there, so I'm going to go ahead and grab the bow as just another attack speed item that I can use later on. And while some people will successfully use the crown early, I find the risk outweighs the reward. This was all positioning. They happen to get lucky in terms of where my champs focused, that I wasn't shifted more to the right or didn't have good backline champions. Because if that Renekton went down, the fight is over automatically. Shadow Isle's Rogues is a strong early synergy because it'll allow you to attack the backline. And since I don't feel particularly safe about any of my champions necessarily being able to survive, I'm not too apt to put the crown on them. Note, my 2-star Maokai ends up going down. Viego, who jumped into their backline, lives along with Cat. Item choice here, I'm still looking for that needlessly large rod because I'm going to want it for Kalista, but I also need Gwen items for later on since I do plan to go to 6, so I like getting a Hextech Gunblade on her or a Spear of Sojin, so the BF Sword will work into both of those. Let's take a quick look at how the crown works. If you're in the front line, you're going to gain health. If you're in the back line, you're going to gain attack, damage, and ability power. It's going to scale based on where you are in the match. But again, unless I'm super confident about a particular champion being able to stay alive or being the last one in a fight, I'm not going to risk it, because if that champion loses, the fight ends there. Doesn't matter what else is going on, it could be the only champion dead and the fight's over. You've just lost the health points. Time for the second set of augments, and I can't resist healing orbs. I find it to be extremely, extremely powerful in these types of fights. So we have now brought in Kalista and put the crown on her. The reason I was willing to do so, as I scanned through, I was the only one showing rogues at this point, which is the one that's going to be able to get into the backline. So my backline is most likely going to remain mostly safe unless the front line breaks through. But my front line is pretty strong and can hold things up for a while. You're about to see one of the reasons I like Kalista so much, because a champ can go from everything to nothing with a single rend. For our next item choice after the NPC round, yay, we get our needlessly large rod, which means we can make our Rage Blade on Kalista. One of the things I really like about Shadow Isles is how versatile it is. It's good to bring in a Bastion that will pair well with Maokai. You can bring in Kaisa, or any other challenger will pair well with Kalista. It just has a lot of different areas you can fill in. So right now, it's what my kid would call Shadow Isle mishmash, because we have Shadow Isles, then 2 Bastions, 2 Rogues, 2 Challengers. And since I'm fairly confident no one's going to be able to easily reach my backline, I can keep the crown on Kalista. If I wanted to take it off, I just put her on the bench, the crown will pop off, and then I could leave it on the side or put it on another champion. But at this point, there's really no reason to. And we run into a Piltover team, which I'm going to be doing a video in the next several days, which is how to do Piltover and hyperroll, and suffice to say, this is not it. There is a very particular strategy you need to follow to win with it. It's first or eighth, basically, if you decide to go that route. Now, this is a case where I really would have loved to have had rerolls because none of these really fit, but the Stellacorn's Blessing will work because I just brought Targons into the fight with Soraka and Taric. So I'm likely to be able to get shields and heals on my champions. It will also most likely be champions who are going to be attacking, such as Cat, who will lose health, get a heal from Soraka, then be picking up additional power. So just add more MISH to the mishmash now, with Targon as a permanent part of the build, since it's now one of the augments. Here again we see the crown in action. I'm fairly safe in my corner with Soraka next to me. Their crown champion gets focused on, and as soon as they go down, the fight's over. It's kind of for this reason I rarely, if ever, vote for this particular portal, because it just feels like it can create more problems than it helps. In this case, again, we end up focusing on their crown holder. Boom, that's over. They're out of the match. It's time for an item choice, and I'm really hoping for Gwen items, but nothing really perfect, and the chance to put a Rage Blade on Kaisa, I can't pass that one up. I can hope that maybe there's something else in the anvil that will work better for Gwen, but not necessarily. So we're going to go ahead, take the Titan's Resolve, and now we have a gold 3-star Viego. We can use some of the components in our bench to put onto Viego to make them useful, and then also upgrade our Maokai to gold 3-star as well. We've 2-starred our Gwen, but we don't have great items for her, so she's just going to kind of wander around the board wreaking havoc. But again, this is where the crown is going to not necessarily turn things, but it's certainly going to help. Once we focus on their crown holder, the fight is over. Couple of things going on here. Number one, we're facing someone who has not lost yet. Number two, these are terrible Gwen items. It's just what I had left on the bench. Giant Slayer isn't bad. I only used the Bloodthirster to give her a slightly additional shield, but we end up winning that fight, and that leads us into the top 4. It's time for our final 2 item choices. I'm torn. The Rabadon's Death Cap would work great for Gwen, but the Static Shiv would work even better on Kaisa because it will reduce the overall magic resistance of the opposing team. Then, chance to get a Rage Blade on Senna. Take it every single time. You want her casting as much as she can. Now, this player is still running the crown on Renekton, despite the fact that Renekton seems to be a little bit more of a support champion with the Zeke's Herald. You can pull that crown off by putting the champ on the bench and then move it to someone else if you want to use it at all. In this case, again, Renekton ends up becoming the focus of Kalista, who rends him and just ends the fight at that spot. This team is running a Shurima Noxus combination that is relying on Cassiopeia to be the carry. She actually can be incredibly strong at gold 3 stars, which she is. However, 6 Shadow Isles just get so much shielding and so much power, and Kalista can wreak havoc on an opposing team. And we were getting close to a 3-star Gwen, but just one off from a 3-star Kalista, and we still need the 2-star Senna. Couldn't resist, and there's our gold 3-star Kalista, and now we just need one more match for the 2-star Senna. Now, even though I know I'm going to get shrouded, I want to stay in this corner because I do not want any chance of Kalista stepping forward or getting targeted as a main target. I need to keep her alive because she's got the crown on her. Could take it off, but it's working out. In this case, we end up focusing down their Cassiopeia, so the fight ends early. And at this point, I'm just apologizing to the other player because I know I got really lucky with these rolls and these augments. They come in, do a little, oh my god, just because they're having a good time too. And we kind of know where this is going at this point because gold 3-star Kalista, just where she is, it doesn't matter. They've now turned Ari into their crown holder just to give it a final shot, but it really is pretty clear it's not going to matter because Kalista can just wreak havoc on opposing teams. It ends with Ari, and it's GG for everyone. Give Shadow Owls a try, especially if you get that heart and you can get to 6. There are so many ways you can take it. Hope you enjoyed this video, and as always, have an absolutely awesome day.